Shout out to our sponsor, Movement Watches.
Yeah, multiple watches in one with bands you can switch out for a whole new look, because who needs to buy a whole new watch for every occasion?
Not you. Get 15% off your entire purchase at mvmtwatches.com/theknow.
Do a barrel roll!
Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Gus Sorola.
No Man's Sky players are done exploring their procedurally generated universes and are instead exploring brand new uncharted territories. The limits of refund policies. That's where we're going.
Word broke over the weekend that major retailers like PSN, Steam, GOG, Humble Bundle, and Amazon were all making exceptions to offer full No Man's Sky refunds, prompting thousands of players to return the game even when they'd played more than 70 hours.
Well, 70 hours is a bit much to be returning a game. This information appeared on the No Man's Sky gaming and games subreddits, with comments numbering in the thousands from people who were eagerly getting their credits back from major retailers.
It all started when one user, What Crazy, posted that he'd heard on a random Twitch channel that Steam was issuing money back for No Man's Sky despite the actual playing time on the account. What Crazy said even though he'd played the game for 8 hours, he was still able to get his refund.
Other users immediately tried it out for themselves, with some reportedly getting refunds after playing upwards of 70 to 80 hours total. That runs slightly, just a little bit contrary to Steam's stated refund policy, which says Valve will, upon request via help.steampowered.com, issue a refund for any reason if the request is made within 14 days of purchase and the title has been played for less than 2 hours.
My math is rusty, but I believe 70 and 80 is greater than 2.
I think you're right.
We'll get back to you.
I think you're right.
However, they also note that even if you fall outside the refund rules we've described, you can ask for a refund anyway and we'll take a look. So it's not 100% outside of their policy to make exceptions to the rule, which means this may not have been a case of special treatment for No Man's Sky and more of a case of thousands of people gaming the system.
And game it they did. Once the news broke, a number of threads appeared where gamers informed each other how to get refunds on every single service.
For Steam, PC gamers instructed their brethren that the best way to get a refund for No Man's Sky was to submit a ticket rather than going through the automated process. Specifically, it seemed to work best if players mentioned things like false advertising and poor performance.
That certainly seems to be the case with PSN as well. Sony's digital refund policy says that you can get a refund for games within 14 days as long as, and this is important, you haven't downloaded it. You can't have touched it in any way. It's still got to be virtually sealed in its wrapper, I guess.
Interesting, it's in its e-wrapper.
E-wrappers.
But it seems that Sony was making exceptions for that over the weekend as well, with gamers saying that as long as they talked to a person in chat and mentioned false advertising and poor performance, it all worked out.
Yeah,
However, the representative...
I've seen a theme here.
Yeah, I see a theme. However, the representatives from Sony did mention it was a one-time gesture of goodwill.
Users reported similar treatment with Amazon for both digital and physical versions of the game. Again, if you talk to someone over chat about the issue.
There's no telling exactly how bad the refund party got over the weekend, since we don't have back-end access to any of these platforms, but judging from the sheer volume of comments on all of these threads, it was probably no small amount.
And Steam Spy's data seems to be pointing in that direction as well. Steam Spy's reporting is, well, it's delayed by a couple of days, so its numbers only go through Friday, August 27th, right now, which is one day before the news really went crazy, but despite that, it still looks like the number of owners for No Man's Sky on Steam dropped from just under 785,000 on August 24th to just under 759,000 on August 27th. That's a lot of negative owners for a new game.
A smaller percentage, though. That means that No Man's Sky shed around 26,000 owners in the days leading up to the knowledge, hitting its critical mass over the last few days. So, much unlike the actual game, anything's possible when it comes to just how many people refunded it. Zing!
It got so bad that as of last night, Steam has updated the official No Man's Sky page to let people know that Refund Mania 2016 is over. The update reads, the standard Steam refund policy applies to No Man's Sky. There are no special exemptions available. So, I guess they're tired of it. I mean, if you think about it, Steam loses money during refunds as well.
Did you get any trading cards from the refund extravaganza?
I didn't.
No. It seems like this is the culmination of weeks of player anger over what many considered have been false advertising about No Man's Sky. Since it came out, players have been upset over just about everything that didn't turn out the way it's been previewed or talked about for the last few years, like being able to see other explorers and a ridiculously big list of dozens of other features that didn't make it into the game.
In addition to all that, players are now digging into the game's math to discover that the much-touted 18 quintillion planets number isn't really all it's cracked up to be either, unfortunately.
It's super complicated math stuff that people are still arguing about, but a TLDR is that the 64-bit number used by No Man's Sky as the base for generating planets can yield a number that is 2 to the 64th power, 18 quintillion, but in reality it's closer to 255 types of planets with 255 types of variations that can happen on them.
Plus, the location of the planet within the galaxy is one of the variables too, so you can theoretically just have the exact same 17 planets in one galaxy, but they're considered unique because they're not in the same place.
Oh.
That's the way they can do that math too.
That's complicated. So even the math betrayed us, which is mind-blowing.
Math, you were supposed to be the one we could always count on.
You're the chosen one. While these insane Reddit threads were filled with thousands of comments from people trying to get their money back, there were also thousands of commenters wondering if getting refunded for a game you played 20 plus hours is even okay.
Yeah, like it brings up an interesting issue when it's right to get your money back for a game you're disappointed with. On the one hand, players do have a point with No Man's Sky. It's not quite the game that was promised, regardless of whether that was simply because of the nature of development, that required them to axe features, or if they were just being kind of intentionally dishonest and knew that some of the features they were talking about weren't going to make it. You know, there is that possibility.
On the other hand, once you spend your money and play through tens of hours of content, the transaction is beyond finished at that point, and is way past any reasonable trial period. It's generally not a common practice to get a refund for a movie you hate after you've watched the entire thing. Why should that change for a video game?
Yeah, 70 to 80 hours is like, you knew what the game was at that point, and you were still playing, buddy.
You probably knew you hated it within the first 2. I mean, what happened the rest of it?
Like, we could even be generous and say as far as like 5 or 10 if you stuck around on your first planet for a while exploring and then realized that it wasn't really gonna go anywhere. But after 70 to 80 hours, you knew what you were doing.
You sped run a Final Fantasy game.
Look, again, you could make the argument for that false advertising if that's what happened. In this case, it could lead players to play around for, you know, I'd say probably around 10 hours before realizing that not what it cracked up to be.
But by 30, you know exactly what you're playing, and if you try to argue for your money back, you're just trying to scam somebody.
At that point, you're just kind of bullshitting.
Spending $60 does not entitle you to play a good game, just the game you purchase.
And that's where it's important to be a smart spender. It's kind of tricky to draw a definite line up to a point. While consumers deserve refunds for shiny products that don't work as advertised, entertainment itself is a little bit harder to judge. Every now and then we have to eat the fact that maybe we made a bad purchase and we need to be a little bit less quick to pull the trigger in the future. We're always doing that. That's why pre-ordering is continuing to be an issue, and everyone says don't pre-order because you're buying something and buying into the hype before you even have any idea what the reality is.
And of course we know that probably won't happen in this case. Gamers may be a cynical bunch, but we do love to have those Sean Murray types sweep us off our feet and make us believe a game can truly do everything.
Yeah, so what do you guys think about the mass refunds for No Man's Sky? Is it fair? Like, how many hours is okay to get a refund for this game? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on the game, everyone loves to play for free. Like this video and subscribe to the know.
Thanks to Movement Watches for sponsoring this update.
Movement watches are made with versatility in mind because you don't want to buy a new watch for every occasion.
That gets expensive. If you're wearing brown shoes, instead just switch out your metal band for a brown leather band like Gus's and bam, new watch.
Brown leather band with a black watch with blue dials.
The blue dials are awesome. I wish I got blue dials. But I got just like a nice black face, rose gold. I've never had a rose gold watch before.
Fancy.
Leather band. It's my big girl watch. Watches start at $95, but you can get 15% off your entire purchase when you go to mbmtwatches.com/theknow.